देवद्विज गुरु प्राज्ञ पूजनं शौचमार्जवम् ब्रह्मचर्यमहिंसा च शारीरं तप उच्यते. Yeah, somebody can read translation.
The austerity of body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence.
Hmm. So now Krishna is talking about the austerity of the body. The austerity of the body consists of worshipping the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and the superiors like father and mother. So this is first aspect of the austerity, to worship and giving worthy respect to these personalities. Then second is in cleanness, then simplicity, then celibacy and non-violence. So here Krishna is saying Deva means the Supreme Lord, Dvija means the Brahmanas, Guru, spiritual master, Pragya, other seniors, Pujanam, they should be worshipped. And then Socham, cleanness, keeping the body clean. Then Arjavam. So Arjavam Srila Prabhupada is translating here as simplicity. Then Brahmacharyam is celibacy and ahimsa cha, non-violence towards other. Sariram tapa uchyate. So we see that here Krishna is talking about these austerities which are related to the body. So why Krishna is saying that these are austerities? Because in a conditioned stage, it is natural to go against the scriptures. In conditioned stage, it is natural to degrade ourselves. That's why the moment we get a human form of life, so this life is made for tapasya. Tapodavyam putrakayena sattvam. Why tapasya? Because if you want to go against the nature of this material world, and the very nature of the material world is to degrade one down. So if you want to go against, then you have to struggle. If you want to go against, then you have to do austerity. Srila Prabhupada says if you want to swim in the same direction of the current, then even if you don't swim, you will just be carried in the same direction. But if you actually want to swim in the opposite direction of the current, then in order to remain also at the same place, you have to swim a lot. What to say of making progress in that direction? So that is why, yeah, to make progress in spiritual life in one way is not so easy, because one actually has to do austerity, one has to do tapasya. And what is tapasya? What is austerity? Srila Prabhupada defines voluntarily inconvenience for spiritual purpose. We know that this is not liked by my mind. We know that in a conditioned stage it appears little difficult. But then still I do. Why? Because I know that it will be rewarding in the future. So in conditioned stage, our mind will not feel natural for these austerities. So same way now it is mentioned austerity of the body. So you see many times it may not be so easy to just worship the superiors or give respect to the superiors or pay obeisances to the superiors. But then we have to know that it is good. So I should do it. So we hear how one disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So once he was saying, Swamiji, I don't feel to pay obeisances. And Srila Prabhupada says, you do it, feeling will come later. So although we may have some inconvenience in the body, but then still when we see the Lord in the altar, we bow down. When we have respectable personalities, then we bow down and we worship these personalities. So this is the first aspect of the austerity, that the austerity of the body is that one worships these personalities and give due respect. And now Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan, he says, these personalities which are mentioned, Deva, Dvija, Guru and Pragya, they are in a sequence from superior to inferior. That means who should be given most respect, who should be given most worship, they are Deva, that is the Supreme Lord. Then Dvija, then the spiritual master, then Pragya, that means other, like here Srila Prabhupada is saying, other superiors like father and mother. So Srila Baldev Vidya is saying that this sequence is from superior to inferior. Then second aspect and austerity of the body is Saucham, cleanliness. You see how much we have to struggle hard to keep this body clean. And this body is made in such a way, by nature it is unclean. You have to, next day morning you get up, whole body you have to wash, whole body you have to clean. And then again, you have to see that nails are coming out, you have to cut the nails. The hairs are growing, you have to cut the hair. So many aspects of the body you have to be taking care that I have to clean it. So why it is austerity? Because it becomes difficult and it's a struggle or it's a burdensome job to make sure that the body is clean. So Srila Prabhupada says one should practice cleanness externally also and internally also. So devotee should try his best to take bath every day. Whenever he goes for clearing, then he takes bath, and he keeps his hair also short. He keeps his nails also in check. He does not allow his beard to come more. He does not allow his mustache to come more. And regularly he is keeping the body very clean. So that is external cleanness. And internal cleanness happens by chanting the good names of the Lord. So this is austerity, but then we have to take this austerity to keep this body clean. Then Arjavam. Arjavam is simplicity. That's how Srila Prabhupada translates. So Prabhupada says, he should learn to become simple in behavior. He should not do anything which is not sanctioned by the scriptural injunctions. So, and Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he translates Arjavam as one should equally carry out what is prescribed and avoid what is forbidden. So, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan is saying Arjavam means to follow what is mentioned in the scriptures and to not do what is not mentioned in the scriptures, or which is against the principles which are mentioned in the scriptures. So Srila Prabhupada also is saying same. He is saying simplicity means to do what is sanctioned by the scriptures. So in that way, both are saying same thing, that Arjava means simplicity, or Arjava means following what is sanctioned in the scriptures and avoiding what is not sanctioned in the scriptures. So see, this is a great austerity for the body. So there are certain things which are mentioned that, okay, as per the scriptures, this you can do it. So we can do it. And there are certain things which are mentioned that this you cannot do it. Then we have to avoid, right? So for each varna and for each ashrama, there are instructions given. You see, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sannyasi, sometimes Jagdanand Pandit would make a very soft, cozy bed for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu would say, I'm a sannyasi, how you can give me a bed like this? So there are certain rules mentioned for each order. So a brahmachari or a sannyasi, they cannot live a very luxurious life. They cannot have too many facilities. They need to have a very simple disposition. Same way those who are grastas, those who are genuine grastas, they can have certain facilities, but they cannot go beyond it. And also they have to see how they are using those facilities in the service of Lord and others. So that is Arjavam, simplicity. It is austerity of the body. By nature, you find, especially in Kali Yuga, people take so much delight in making life very complex. This principle of simplicity is slowly going down. But actually, this is very helpful, and it is mentioned that it is austerity. And then brahmacharyam, celibacy. So naturally, the body, they have this feeling of lust, feeling to enjoy. But then to restrain this feeling, to maintain celibacy, to maintain brahmacharya, is austerity of the body. Srila Prabhupada defines that one should not indulge in sex outside marriage. Sex is sanctioned only in marriage, not otherwise. This is called celibacy. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he says, brahmacharya means sex life according to scriptural injunctions. And then last is ahimsa, non-violence, not hurting others using this body, not slapping others, not, doing anything by this body which may cause pain to others. So these are the austerity of the body. So the moment we say austerity, austerity is not for torturing the body, but these austerities are for purification of the body. These austerities are for elevation of the body. So you see, these austerities are not demonic austerities. Demons also, they do austerities. Later on it will come. When these austerities are done in mode of goodness, then these austerities are very favorable for spiritual life, and these austerities are very favorable for one's purification. So, as devotees, we have to see that how we practice these austerities. So, this particular chapter, this chapter number 17, is very special chapter in terms of Krishna is speaking very basic principles of application. You will find such amazing basic principles of application Krishna is speaking in this chapter. He spoke about food, now he is speaking about body, then he will speak about mind and speech also. So this is a chapter which is more related to the application for a sadhaka. So in relation to body, giving respect and worshipping, then cleanness. So cleanness, we have to try our best that we can keep clean. Whichever place we are sleeping in, the moment we get up, then we have to mop that place. There are more higher standards of cleanness also, but in Srila Prabhupada gave basic which we can try to do. And simplicity means keeping minimum things with us, not making our life complex, living a simple life. Otherwise, nowadays you see people have 100 pairs of clothes and so many pairs of shoes, so many pairs of other things. Sometimes devotees also, they will have 4 5 earphone, one Bluetooth, one wire, one this, one that. Or people will have 3 4 mobiles. So that is not simplicity. Simplicity means keeping life very simple. And then brahmacharya, maintaining the celibacy. So this is about the austerity of the body. Srila Prabhupada also says same thing. Now he is talking about speech. So kaya, vacha, manasa. So after kaya, Krishna is speaking about vacha. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhasanam cheva vanamayam tapochyate. So this chapter is very special. Krishna spoke about how you can take care of the body. Now Krishna is saying, being in the material world, how you should speak. Means no scripture will come down to this level to give such practical guidance for such basic things. So Krishna is saying in this particular verse how one should speak like this. So very beautiful verse saying Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat swadhyaya vishanam cheva vanmayam tap uchyate. See, in the previous verse also, Krishna is saying one of the austerity of the body is ahimsa, not causing pain to others. So obviously somebody is trying to cause pain to others by his body, in the sense he is physically hitting someone. So that is naturally a very low standard. But for we devotees, we may not physically hurt others, and whatever we think in the mind is not counted in Kali Yuga. But mainly we offend others by our speech. Mainly we hurt others by our speech. So that is why, especially for we devotees, it's very important to imbibe and practice this particular verse which Krishna speaks like that. Chanakya, he says, Jiva basati Lakshmi, Jiva basati Mitra Bandhava. So he says, जीवा के ऊपर लक्ष्मी है, जीवा के ऊपर दोस्त है. How? If you are very good in speaking, then you will have a lot of friends. If you are very good in speaking, then you can have a lot of partnership. You can do a lot of business. So you'll have a lot of Lakshmi also. So this speech is very important and very special. Although it appears a very simple activity, but you see how much impact it has. People, they speak something and then the other person takes it in a very different way. So very first thing what Krishna is saying is, Anudvega karam vakyam. Don't speak to agitate others. Anudvega, dveg means suddenly he is affected by it. Don't speak which may agitate others. So like we see that how in Mahabharata, when Duryodhana he comes to Indraprastha, and that time Draupadi happens to speak like this because Duryodhana falls in the pond. So Draupadi says, Andhe ka beta andha. So this sarcastic speech, agitating speech, and we see that it led to the whole Mahabharata. Such a big massacre happened because that went so deep in the heart of Duryodhana, like this. So the speech is very hurting, very agitating. Then it shakes the whole existence of the person. Although it is a small thing, but then that person may become so affected by it, and then whole existence is for taking revenge because of that statement. Same way you see when Suruchi became unhappy seeing Dhruva coming, and then she says, if you want to sit on the lap of your father, you have to take birth from my womb. And that is the qualification to sit on the lap of father. And for that, you should go and worship Lord Vishnu. So hearing this, Dhruva became so agitated. His whole body is trembling. He is crying. Why? Because he could not fathom such harsh words from Suruchi. Same way we said Sarmishta and Devyani, by mistake, Sarmishta wore the clothes of Devyani. And then Devyani is speaking, you Kshatriyas, you are like dogs in the house of the Brahmanas. And how you can act like this? It is like a bird stealing the clarified butter kept for the sacrifice. So Devyani speaks such harsh words, and Sarmishta becomes so angry, she takes Devyani and throws in the well only. Like that. So we see all the wars, all the relationship problems, all the fights, more than the issue, they happen or they increase more because of anudvega karam vakya. Because a person happened to speak something which became very agitating to other party. Person spoke something which went very deep in the heart of some other person. And that's why the fights become more intense, the war becomes more broad, not mainly just because of the issue, but then it becomes more because of the speech which is spoken in the process. So we also see as devotees, the issues will come. Naturally, being in the material world, there will be some concerns, there will be difficulties, struggles, issues. But they can become much more and they can become much more worse if we are not very careful with our speech during those issues. All the relationship problems are also like this. Sometimes you'll find people that have some issue and they come to discuss the issue, but in the process they speak something which very much agitates the heart of other person, and then that issue becomes unending issue. How dare you speak like that? You said like that. Why you said like that? Now from the issue, the matter goes into the speech. Why you spoke like this? And it is very difficult, those who are not trained and those who are not careful to protect themselves from not speaking agitating speech like this. And especially it becomes more important for we devotees because we are dealing with Vaishnavas. So we may hurt others by our speech. We may speak something because of which it may cause pain to others like this. So this anudvega karam vakya means not agitating. That's why at very first place Krishna is saying what you should not do before telling what you should do. Because if you do this, then everything else will not make any sense. If you speak agitating words, then after that, no matter how much you try to do, it's very difficult. Uh, how many of you have experienced that sometimes you speak something which agitates others, and later on you want to make up, you want to patch up, but then it does not happen, right? It becomes difficult. So that's why Krishna at the very first place is saying anudvega karam vakyam, that first you should not speak agitating words like this. So here anudvega karam vakyam, not agitating. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan is saying the speech does not cause fear at all in anyone. So not having a threatening speech, not having agitating speech, not having a fear-producing speech, not having a sarcastic speech. And you will find sometimes, a person may forget the issue, but he will not forget if he spoke some sarcastic words. He will not forget if he spoke some harsh words. And they go deep in the heart and for a very long time. Again and again, those words they ring, and he is reminded like that. So one has to be very extremely careful in relation to our speech. Sarcastic speech means it is done in a soft tone, but the message is that he want to pin you down. So the person understands, and that's how he feels bad. Like in our temple, one devotee was doing prasadam serving. So another devotee told him, Prabhuji, आप भी prasadam serving करते हैं? This is sarcastic speech. What he actually means is, आप कभी नहीं करते. आज क्या हो गया कि आज आप प्रसादम सर्विंग कर रहे हैं, right? So the person to whom it is spoken, he understands it, and then it goes very deep in the heart, like that. Jैसे one devotee gave a class and he spoke about humility. So another devotee after the class he told, Prabhuji, आप भी humility के बारे में बात करते हैं. इसका मतलब क्या है कि आप humble नहीं है. So devotees generally, because they become little polished, so then they take help of sarcastic speech many times. But then this also is hurting only. This also cause problems to other, like that. जैसे कोई डिवोटी जो है ज्यादा सो रहा है डे रेस्ट में, या कोई डिवोटी मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम में नहीं आया, then naturally sometime our sarcastic speech comes out, or we see some devotee having some struggling phase in his life. So one has to be very careful. So this is the first thing which Krishna is saying. Anudvega karam vakyam. Then he's saying it, speak which is not agitating, then it should be satyam, truthful. Srila Prabhupada translates satyam as truthful, and Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan translates satyam as it is authoritative. So in the purport also, Srila Prabhupada is taking this meaning of Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan. So Srila Prabhupada is saying one should not talk nonsense. The process of speaking in a spiritual circle is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from the scripture authority to back up what he is saying, like this. So this is a very important, satyam, truthful, authoritative. So actually in Vaishnava circle, whatever we are speaking, we should be able to back up with scriptures. And each one of us have a right to question the person who is speaking to us, that Prabhu, from where you are speaking this. Even our superiors, we can humbly question them if we find that, oh, I don't know from where it is. We can humbly question that, Prabhuji, from where is this? And then they should quote the scriptures. So it should be authoritative. It should be upheld by the scriptures, whatever we are speaking. So that is the meaning of satyam, truthful. Then priya. Priya means dear. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says it is pleasing to the hearer. Speak in such a way that it is pleasing to the hearer. Like this. So truth, satyam, truthful. Truth means truth based on the scriptures. And then priya, dear, means it is pleasing to the hearer. So like one time there was a king and he called one astrologer. The astrologer showed his hand. The astrologer told, आपके सामने आपके सारे रिश्तेदार मर जाएंगे. So king became extremely angry and he told, hang him. एकदम वो एस्ट्रोलॉजर को समझ में नहीं आया क्या हो गया एकदम. दूसरा एस्ट्रोलॉजर आया तो उसको पहले से पता था कि पहले एस्ट्रोलॉजर ने ऐसा बोला था और उसके साथ ऐसा हुआ. तो राजा ने फिर हाथ दिखाया कि बताओ मेरे बारे में. तो दूसरा एस्ट्रोलॉजर बोला, माय डियर किंग, you will have a longest life in your family. The king became very happy, told, bring some jewels, reward him. अब देखो दोनों ने सेम ही चीज बोला. एक ने बोला कि my dear king, all your relatives will die in your in front of your eyes. Another one he said, oh my dear king, you will have a longest life. In one way both are same, but it is not what you speak, it is how you speak. So it has a lot to do. That's why this word Krishna is adding priya. Okay, you may say, Prabhuji, मैं सच ही तो बोल रहा था. उसमें गलत क्या था? हाँ ठीक है, आप सच्ची बोल रहे हैं, गलत नहीं बोल रहे हो। नहीं काइंड डिवोटी दे से लाइक दैट, भाई मैं सच ही तो बोल रहा था, गलत क्या है? गलत ये है कि उसमें आपने प्रिय नहीं किया उसको। इट इज नॉट स्पोकन इन अ वे विच इज प्लीजिंग टू द हेयर. So okay, you are speaking truth, but then it has to be spoken in a pleasing way. Like we had one devotee, तो उनका मोबाइल में अलार्म टोन जो है वो अजीब सा था, ठक 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 ऐसा करके कुछ, तो एक पैशनेट अलार्म टोन था। तो कभी कभी ब्रह्मचारी क्लास होता तो उसमें बीच में बज जाता था उनका, तो वैसा अलार्म टोन बजता था। हम सबको लगता था कैसा अलार्म टोन लगा रखा है इन्होंने। तो प्रेमानंद गुरु थे क्लास में, तो प्रेमानंद गुरु ने भक्त को बोले बाद में कि आई लाइक एवरीथिंग अबाउट यू एक्सेप्ट योर अलार्म टोन। गुरु जी क्या बोले उनको? आई लाइक एवरीथिंग अबाउट यू एक्सेप्ट योर मोबाइल का जो ट्यून है। सो हियरिंग दिस वेरी हैप्पीली ही चेंज्ड। बट सी अनदर वे, यू इफ यू स्पीक टू हिम, क्या प्रभु जी आपको समझ में नहीं आता है क्या? क्या सा ट्यून लगा रखा है, सब डिस्टर्ब हो जाते हैं, बुद्धि होना चाहिए, अकल होना चाहिए। देन ही विल फील ऑफेंडेड, राइट? दैट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. Radhesham Guru gives example. He says in Pune, they had a person who would be standing on the gate to check the coupons. So when the devotee would come, he would check the coupons. So initially they had kept a devotee who was little more strong in voice. तो ऐसा बोलता, कूपन कहाँ है, कूपन कहाँ है, नहीं है, चलो. Like that he would speak. So people would feel hurt and offended. So then Guruji kept a very mild devotee and you say, कूपन कहाँ पर है? कहेंगे कूपन तो नहीं, नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, आप ना देखिए वहां पर जाइए, वहां टेबल दिख रहा है आपको, दिख रहा है? हाँ वहां पर जाएंगे ना तो आपको कूपन दे देंगे। जैसे ही आपको कूपन देंगे आप यहाँ पर आइएगा और फिर हम आपको प्लेट दे देंगे। देन हैप्पीली पीपल वुड गो, टेक कूपन एंड गो इन द हॉल, लाइक दैट. So along with being truthful, we also have to see that our speech is priya, it is very pleasing to the hearer. Many times, if we don't work on this aspect, we will lose many relationships. We will hurt many devotees. So that's why this Priya aspect is very important. That okay, I am speaking truth, but then it has to be spoken in a very uh, pleasing way. Then hitam, beneficial. Okay, it is truthful. I am trying to speak it in a pleasing way, but is it beneficial for him? That also is very important. There are certain truths which should not be spoken at certain time. And if you speak them, although you speak truth, although you speak it in a pleasing way, but that may not be the right time to speak. And that truth may not be beneficial for him. Like suppose, doctor tells, suppose your some close relative is there in the hospital, doctor tells, इनको कैंसर हुआ है या इनको किडनी ट्रांसप्लांट करना है, इनके दोनों किडनी काम नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो अभी जो है, अगर आप डायरेक्ट रिलेटिव के पास चले जाएंगे, आप बोलेंगे ठीक है मेरे को सच बोलना है, किडनी काम नहीं कर रहे हैं इनके दोनों, और प्लीजिंग वे में मैं बोलूंगा कि प्रभु जी आपके ना दोनों किडनी ना काम नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो क्या होगा? वो बेचारा ऑलरेडी इतना डिस्टर्ब हो जाएगा, करेक्ट ना? तो ऐसे सिचुएशन में क्या है, हमको पता है इट इज नॉट बेनिफिशियल, दिस इंफॉर्मेशन इज ट्रुथ, this information can be spoken in a pleasing way, but it is not beneficial for him at this time. तो हम उनको क्या बोलते हैं? नहीं नहीं सब ठीक चल रहा है, डॉक्टर ने बोला कोई चिंता की बात नहीं है, आप बस दवाई लेते रहिए। एंड बैकग्राउंड में वी वर्क आउट व्हाट ऑल कैन बी डन सो दैट थिंग्स कैन बी सॉर्टेड आउट, इज इट नॉट? ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है कि हितम, इज इट बेनिफिशियल फॉर हिम, लाइक दैट. जैसे कुछ चीजें हम छुपाते हैं, जैसे जब हम प्रीचिंग करते हैं तो जो नए लड़के हैं उनसे कई चीजें हम छुपाते हैं। वाई? बिकॉज हमको पता है अभी उनके लिए वो बेनिफिशियल नहीं है, धीरे धीरे करके हम उनको बताते हैं। तो ये एस्पेक्ट भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वो बेनिफिशियल है कि नहीं। तो देखिए पहला भगवान ने क्या बताया कि आपको क्या नहीं करना है, अनुद्वेग, एजिटेटिंग, सरकास्टिक, थ्रेटनिंग स्पीच नहीं बोलना है। फिर 2, 3, 4 में भगवान ने बताया स्पीच के क्या मेन कंपोनेंट हैं और आप कैसे बोल सकते हैं। तो वो क्या है, सत्यम प्रिय हितम। अब कोई पूछ सकता है कि प्रभु जी ठीक है, सत्यम करना है, प्रिय करना है, हितम करना है, होगा कैसे? तो उसका सॉल्यूशन भगवान जो है 5th पॉइंट में देते हैं, स्वाध्याय अभ्यासानम। By regular recitation of the Vedas, you will develop this quality in your speech. When you are engaged in the regular recitation of the Vedas. एक्चुअली अगर हमारा गुरुकुल सिस्टम देखेंगे तो उसमें वेदास को लाउडली रिसाइट किया जाता था। तो सेम वे इट इज अ वेरी गुड प्रैक्टिस व्हेन वी रीड श्रील प्रभुपाद बुक्स, वी आल्सो रीड लाउडली। So when we study the Vedas like this, then we will be able to develop these three qualities. So by being conscious, by remembering this particular verse, and by reciting the scriptures, we will develop this quality of Satyam Priya Hitam Cha. And this is very important. In fact, in Kaya Vacha Manasa, if you want to take up as one of the most important application verse for us, then that is this verse, because this verse has a lot to do with our relationship with devotees and our offenses with devotees. So Swadhyaya or the Vedic study Abhyasanam practice. ऐसा। तो आप देखेंगे शास्त्रों में पढ़ाई शब्द नहीं होता है, शास्त्रों में होता है अभ्यासनम। अगर आप गांव में जाएंगे, अभी आई डोंट नो, पहले अगर गांव में आप जाएंगे और किसी माँ से पूछेंगे कि आपका लड़का कहाँ गया, तो माँ ऐसे नहीं बोलेगी पढ़ाई करने गया है, माँ बोलेगी अभ्यास के लिए गया है। तो ये अभ्यासनम शब्द जो है, ये गुरुकुल शिक्षा प्रणाली में यूज होता था, अभ्यासनम। पढ़ाई शब्द आज मॉडर्न जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम है उसमें यूज होता है। पढ़ाई का मतलब क्या है, एक बार पढ़ के उसको छोड़ दो। आपने ये किताब पढ़ ली, खत्म कर दी, छोड़ दो। दूसरी किताब पढ़ी, खत्म कर दी, छोड़ दो। अभ्यासनम का मतलब क्या होता है, बार बार उसको करते रहो। तो इसलिए यहाँ क्या बताया, स्वाध्याय अभ्यासनम। तो ऐसा बचपन से गुरुकुल में ट्रेनिंग मिलता था, इसलिए वो बार बार वही चीजें करते रहते थे। और वही सेम चीजें जो स्पिरिचुअल हैं, वो बार बार उनको नई नई रियलाइजेशंस देती रहती थी। लेकिन हम लोगों को, बिकॉज वी हैव मोर हैबिट एंड नेचर ऑफ हैविंग अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ पढ़ाई, तो हमारा क्या है, वी रीड वन टाइम एंड देन वी फील, ओ आई हैव ऑलरेडी read भगवत गीता, व्हाई टू रीड अगेन? But then we have to cultivate this abhyashanam, that I have to do abhyashan. I have to practice. Read again, read again, read again, read again, read again, recite again. So then what will happen is Satyam Priyam Tamcha. So after saying this, now he speaks about the austerity of the mind. So these three verses are very important verses for sadhakas especially. And in Bhagavad Gita, these three and other three related to food, they are very practical verses for sadhaka to implement. Now Krishna is talking about mind, and this also is a very important verse and very special verse also. Uh, in fact, if possible, we should by heart these three verses at least. मनः प्रसादा सौम्यत्वं मौन आत्म विनिग्रह भाव संशुद्धिरिति एतत् तपो मानसम उच्यते. So Krishna is saying mana prasada, first quality, then saumyatvam, then maunam, then atma vinigraha, then bhav samsuddhir. These five qualities Krishna is saying. Iti etat tapo manasam uchyate. These are the austerity of the mind. First is mano prasada, saumitvam, maunam, atma vinigraha, bhav samsuddhir. So here Srila Prabhupada is translating mana prasada as satisfaction of the mind. Swamitvam means being without duplicity. Mauna means gravity. Atma vinigra means self-control. And bhav samsuddhi means purification of one's existence. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he says, the austerity of the mind is more difficult than the austerity of the body because mind is subtle and restless. So among these three austerities, Kaya, Vacha, Manasa, most difficult austerity is the austerity of the mind, because one thing is it is subtle, second thing it is restless. जैसे आपका जो जीव है, स्पीच, वो आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हो, मौन व्रत रख सकते हो, करेक्ट? लेकिन मन का मौन व्रत कैसे रखोगे? सटल है, उसको कैसे पकड़ोगे? फूड है उसमें आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हो, ठीक है भैया, वेजिटेरियन ही डाइट लेंगे, गुडनेस वाला ही डाइट लेंगे। लेकिन मन का कंट्रोल करना बहुत मुश्किल है। एक तो है सटल है, उसको आप पकड़ नहीं सकते, ए मन बैठ यहाँ, और रेस्टलेस है, तो दैट्स व्हाई सेइंग दिस इज मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट। तो अभी पहला क्या ऑस्टेरिटी बताया माइंड का, मन प्रसाद, एंड प्रभुपाद इज ट्रांसलेटिंग एज सेटिस्फेक्शन ऑफ द माइंड। और इसका श्रील बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी जो क्या ट्रांसलेट कर रहे हैं, माइंड शुड बी प्योर विदाउट एजिटेशन फ्रॉम रिमेम्बरेंस ऑफ द सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट। तो आप देखेंगे प्रभुपाद जी ने परपोर्ट में यही वाला मीनिंग लिया है जो श्रील बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी यहाँ दिए। तो मना प्रसादा का मतलब क्या, सेटिस्फेक्शन ऑफ द माइंड। और वो सेटिस्फेक्शन ऑफ द माइंड कैसे आएगा? when mind is not remembering the sense object, mind is not contemplating on the sense object to enjoy। तो प्रभुपाद जी भी ट्रांसलेशन के बाद में परपोर्ट में देखिए लिखते हैं सेटिस्फेक्शन के बारे में, satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment। More we think of sense enjoyment, more mind becomes dissatisfied। In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification, and there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied। Means you see how in our Vedas such revolutionary concepts are given. Till now in our life, our thought was you think more about sense enjoyment and then we'll become more happy. And Krishna is saying, if you think about sense enjoyment, that much you'll become dissatisfied. If you want mind to be calm, peaceful, and satisfied, then take your mind away from the thoughts of sense enjoyment. Right? In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Bhukti Kami, Mukti Kami, Sakala Asanta, कृष्ण भक्त निष्काम अतेव शांत। तो जो भुक्ति कामी है, भोग करना है, भोग करना है, भोग करना है, मुक्ति कामी है, लिबरेट होना, लिबरेट होना, लिबरेट होना, सकल अशांत। बट कृष्ण भक्त निष्काम, कृष्णा डिवोटी हैज नो पर्सनल डिजायर, एंड दैट्स व्हाई अतेव शांत, ही इज मोस्ट पीसफुल। And Srila Prabhupada in his last days was asked, Srila Prabhupada, do you have some last wish? And Srila Prabhupada says, कोई इच्छा नहीं, I have no desire। So actually, it is a great struggle to detach mind from thoughts of sense gratification. But it is austerity and it is difficult. That's why it is termed here as austerity. But then we have to do this austerity if we want mind to be purified, if we want mind to become enemy to friend. So this is in fact one of most difficult austerity, to detach mind from thoughts of sense gratification। It is like a by default mode of the mind, it will go, आज खाने में क्या है, ब्रेकफास्ट में क्या है, खुशबू आ रहा है, लग रहा है इन्होंने पास्ता बनाया है, फिर आगे चलो अभी सोते हैं। बहुत खा लिया, नींद आ रहा है, अरे आज तो क्या दिक्कत है, आज तो संडे है, आराम से सोएंगे। अलार्म लगा लेते हैं और नींद पूरा नहीं हुआ, कोई बात नहीं, अलार्म को स्नूज कर देंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। ऑलवेज माइंड हैज थॉट्स ऑफ सेंस एंजॉयमेंट, ये देख लेते हैं, वो देख लेते हैं, यहाँ जाते हैं, वहां जाते हैं। आप देखो इतना ज्यादा माइंड सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन के थॉट्स देता है, हमारा पूरा एग्जिस्टेंस जो है सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन के थॉट से भरा हुआ है, राइट। बट हियर कृष्ण इज सेइंग it is an austerity to detach mind from thoughts of sense gratification, and we have to do this austerity, otherwise we'll become more and more and more dissatisfied if you want satisfaction। Then Srila Madhvacharya in Bhavartha Deepika, he says mana prasada means satisfaction in the will of the Supreme Lord, not mere worldly contentment। He's saying this mana prasada means to come to a level where one becomes happy to follow the will of the Lord, where he becomes happy to serve the Lord। It is not only a worldly contentment। And Srila Jiva Goswami, he says a very important point, Srila Jiva Goswami says, he says mental austerity is a prerequisite for bhajan। Mana prasada comes from faith in the Lord's mercy। So he's saying this austerity of the mind is a prerequisite for bhajan। If you want to do bhajan and bhakti, then you have to do this. Otherwise, you cannot do bhakti like that. In Lord Kapila section also, Lord Kapila says, mind is a pivot of all the senses, and a sadhaka for practicing spiritual life, very first thing he's supposed to do, that is the control the mind. Any yoga path, he says, to make progress on any yoga path, the very first thing which the sadhaka has to do is to control his mind. Same way Srila Jiva Goswami is saying that mental austerity is a prerequisite for bhajan. You see, because of our mind having such a sense gratificatory thoughts, it is so difficult to practice spiritual life. So difficult. There is one verse in 11th canto where Nil Maharaj is saying that because of their so many material desires and because of not controlling their self, the people who have knowledge, still they are not able to worship the Supreme Lord for most part of their life. Even after having knowledge, why people are not able to worship the Lord for most part of their life? Because of so much hankering for material desires, so much thinking about material desires, so much working hard for material desires, and because they don't have their senses under control. Like this. So we see that that's why Srila Jiva Goswami is saying mental austerity is a prerequisite for bhajan. And then second is Somyatvam. So Srila Prabhupada is translating Somyatvam means being without duplicity towards others. And Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan is translating it should be without cruelty, desiring everyone's happiness. तो प्रभुपाद जी भी परपोर्ट में जो श्रीला बलदेव विद्या भूषण जी मीनिंग दे रहे हैं उसको परपोर्ट में लिखते हैं. तो जैसे ऊपर प्रभुपाद जी ने क्या लिखा, सेटिस्फेक्शन चाहिए माइंड का, तो उसको डिटैच करना पड़ेगा सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन से. अब यहाँ पर भी प्रभुपाद जी लिखते हैं द माइंड शुड बी डिवॉइड ऑफ डुप्लिसिटी एंड वन शुड थिंक ऑफ वेलफेयर ऑफ ऑल. तो देखो दोनों मीनिंग जो है इस वर्ड के लिए. तो स्वामित्वम का क्या मतलब है, एक तो है डुप्लिसिटी से फ्री होना, दूसरा टू थिंक गुड ऑफ अदर्स. तो आप देखेंगे ध्रुव महाराज व्हेन इन क्राइंग ही वेंट टू मदर सुरुचि, द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग सुरुचि वेंट इन क्राइंग टू मदर सुनीति, द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग विच सुनीति टोल्ड टू ध्रुवा वाज डोंट थिंक इल ऑफ अदर्स, because more than them you suffer, more than them you degrade. So this is a very important aspect mentioned in our scriptures, to think well of others, to have a well-wishing heart, to have a well-wishing feeling for others. That is Swamitva, and this is austerity of the mind, because by nature mind delights in bringing other people down. By nature mind delights in finding fault in others. By nature mind delights that how other people are suffering. But then this is austerity where we say, why you are thinking like this? I have to think good for him. So having a well-wishing feeling, that is Somyatvam. Then Manam. So Srila Prabhupada translates Manam as gravity. It should be contemplating the Atma. This is Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan's definition. He says Manam means contemplation on the Atma, and Srila Prabhupada translates Manam as gravity. So now in the purport you will find Srila Prabhupada mix both meanings. Silence means one is always thinking of self-realization. So Srila Prabhupada takes the meaning of Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan, that what is gravity, what is Manam, where he is thinking about self-realization. Manam is not only just not speaking anything and is thinking about sense gratification. No. Manam means he is not unnecessarily speaking and is quite contemplative, very meditative. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was once asked, Maharaj, you always remain silent in meetings, you don't speak. What do you keep thinking? So Maharaj replied, I am a prayer. I keep praying. So like that, spiritually one is connecting. Srila Baldev Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying, Maunam includes refraining from mental criticism. Silence must also be in thought, not just words. You see, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur takes it more deeper, that Maunam means free from criticism of others. And true Maunam means thinking about self-realization. And gross Maunam means to not speaking, gravity. And then Atma Vinigraha. So Srila Prabhupada translates self-control. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan translates the mind should be withdrawn from sense object. Like that. Mind should be detached from the sense object. So Mana Prasada and Atma Vinagra are connected to each other in that way. Because Mana Prasada is satisfaction, and that satisfaction will come when mind is detached from the sense gratification, the objects of sense gratification. And Atma Vinigra means the ability to withdraw the mind from the sense objects. The ability to not have thoughts of sense gratification in the mind. So that is Atma Vinigraha. And then Bhava Samsuddhi, purification of one's existence. That is Srila Prabhupada saying. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he says, it should be free from deceit in dealings with others. That is Bhava Samsuddhi. One should not have any cunningness in dealing with others. One should be very transparent with others. Like this. And Srila Prabhupada is translating as the purification of one's existence. So in the purport, Prabhupada takes both meaning. One should be straightforward in his dealings and thereby purify his existence. So he's taking both meaning. That one should be straightforward in his dealings and thereby purify his existence. So these are three verses explaining about the austerity of Kaya, Vacha and Manasa. So after speaking this, now these three austerities can be done in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So now in this verse, Krishna talks about how these three austerities can be done in mode of goodness. Srataya paraya taptam tapastatridam nare afalankar sadhir yukte satvikam parichakshate. So there are two main qualities of performing these austerities in mode of goodness. One is Sraddhaya and second is Afalam. That means with faith and without desire for result. When we do these three austerities of Kaya, Vacha, Manasa with faith and without expectation of result, then these austerities are in mode of goodness. Sraddhaya with faith and Afala Akankshi Bhi, that is without the desire for result. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, when these three types of austerities are done with faith and without longing for result, then they are sattvic in nature. And then Satkaraha mana pujartham tapodambena chevayat kriyate yatiha proktam rajasam chalam adhruvasam. Now these three austerities can be done in mode of passion also. How? When they are done out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor and worship. So that people appreciate me, so that people respect me, so that people worship me. And with pride, see how I am great. And this is in the mode of passion. And it is neither stable nor permanent. So, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan is saying, Satkara means to earn praise from others. Oh, he's a great ascetic. Mana means receiving respect using the body, such as rising up when the person approaches. Puja means worship in the form of such things as getting one's feet washed or receiving gift. तो वो ऑस्टेरिटी जो है वो करता है किसके लिए? सत्कार के लिए, मान के लिए और पूजा के लिए. तो सत्कार का मतलब क्या है? पीपल आर स्पीकिंग appreciative words for him. That अरे प्रभु जी का मानना पड़ेगा, दिन में एक ही बार खाते हैं, एकादशी तो पूरा निर्जल करते हैं, पता नहीं मानना पड़ेगा. That is satkar. And then man, that as soon as he comes, people they stand up. That is man. And then puja, they come to wash his feet or they give some gift like that. So austerity performed for these three purposes, that is satkara, mana, and puja, along with dambha, having a sense of pride, is called austerity in the mode of passion. It is temporary, chalam, and its result, such as getting praise, are uncertain, adhruvam. तो ये जो ऑस्टेरिटी का जो फल है वो क्या है? ये जो ऑस्टेरिटी है क्या है? चलम। ये ऑस्टेरिटी सस्टेनेबल ऑस्टेरिटी नहीं है। क्यों? कल को अगर इनको पूजा नहीं मिलेगा, सत्कार नहीं मिलेगा, मान नहीं मिलेगा, तो क्या करेंगे? ऑस्टेरिटी बंद कर देंगे। तो इसलिए ऑस्टेरिटी क्या है? चलम, टेम्पररी है। और क्यों टेम्पररी है? बिकॉज ये जो चीजें हैं, सत्कार, मान, पूजा, ये अनसर्टेन है कलियुग में, अध्रुवम। Not always people will respect you, not always people will speak good about you, not people always will worship you, right? So adhruvam, and because of which the austerities are chalam, they are temporary. Then now last is the austerity mode of ignorance. मूढ़ाग्रहेणात्मनो यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्यो परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा तत्तामसम् उदाहृतम्. So Krishna is saying the penance performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others is in the mode of ignorance. तो ये जो mode of ignorance में when these austerities are done, so they are to torture oneself and to injure others. And out of foolishness, these austerities are done. So Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, he says, Mood grahena, austerity performed with stubborn attachment to material enjoyment and because of no discriminant. Austerity performed in this way with pain for the body and the senses or with the intention of harming or destroying others. Parasya utsadan artham is the austerity in the mode of ignorance. So like we see Ravana doing austerity, Hiranyakashipu doing austerity, Bhasmasur doing austerity. So they do such intense austerity for deep material attachment they have. And they want to hurt others. So this is austerity which is in mode of ignorance. So we'll end here. This is a very beautiful section in Bhagavad Gita, which is very relevant and very practical and something which should be imbibed in everyone's life. Hare Krishna, Prabhupada ki jai. So if devotees have any question to ask, they can ask. Yes, Akash, please.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी फॉर दिस क्लास। प्रभु जी, जैसे हमने ऑस्टेरिटी ऑफ स्पीच में देखा था, तो मतलब समझ में तो आ गया कि करना क्या है, मतलब सत्यम प्रियम हितम ऐसा बोलना है, बट अभी तो मेरा लेवल वो नहीं, मैं ऐसा नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ। तो प्रैक्टिकली उस लेवल तक कैसे पहुंचूंगा? मतलब ये थोड़ा
हाँ,
सा और एलेबरेट करके बता देंगे तो।
राइट। देखिए क्या है, हर चीज में भक्ति में जो भी एस्पेक्ट रहता है, तो कुछ चीजों में क्या है आपके लिए बहुत इजी रहेगा बिकॉज यू हैव डन सर्टेन थिंग्स इन योर पास्ट लाइफ। और कुछ चीजों में आपके लिए क्या है बहुत डिफिकल्ट रहेगा क्योंकि मे बी दिस इज द फर्स्ट टाइम व्हेन यू आर ट्राइंग टू प्रैक्टिस दोज थिंग्स, राइट। तो कोई भी एस्पेक्ट भक्ति में रहता है, चाहे कोई पर्टिकुलर क्वालिटी का हो या कोई पर्टिकुलर प्रैक्टिस का हो, तो उसमें क्या बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टेजेस रहते हैं। So now highest is here. But suppose I am here. So I should not become bewildered seeing कि बाप रे, this is too much, right? What I should focus on is what is next stage for me. So I am here, next stage for me is here. So now in relation to speech, one thing is I have to be conscious so that I know where I am going wrong. So if you're conscious, then you'll be able to understand that, oh, this is the point where I am going wrong. And then second is now after being conscious, you can reflect that at which all occasions for me it becomes very difficult and suddenly something comes out. And at which all occasion it becomes easy for me to control myself. Now those occasions where I am not able to control, you can figure out that, okay, how I can do it. So one of the best policies that we should not immediately speak. We can wait for some time. We can think. एक कबीर का दोहा है ना कि तौल के बोलना चाहिए, something like that, right? So best policy is when we know that I have this weakness, so we should not immediately speak. We can wait for some time. We can think about some proper words, and then we can try to speak. So like that, gradually, when consciously, we will try to see where I'm going wrong, and consciously, I'm trying to try my best to speak in a proper way. Then slowly, gradually, you'll find you'll be able to work on this quality. Many of our devotees initially they were very hurting in speech to others, but then slowly, gradually, with time, as they consciously work, they become very refined Vaishnavas. And that's the principle. That's why Krishna is speaking this in Bhagavad Gita, so that gradually we can develop this. Is it okay, Akash? Too?
हाँ, यस प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी बस
And
थोड़ा सा
one,
और
one,
मतलब
one more thing it will help you is daily you can recite this verse also. Anudvega karam bhakyam satyam priyamitam cha.
यस प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी एक और एस्पेक्ट है, मतलब हम अपने आप को मतलब एज अ कंडीशन सोल, कंडीशन लिविंग एंटिटी ट्राई तो करते हैं कि मतलब ऐसा ना हो, किसी को कुछ सार्केस्टिक या हार्श ना बोले, बट समटाइम्स व्हाट हैपेंस कि सामने वाले लिविंग एंटिटी या डिवोटी या कोई भी है, उसका ही हैबिट ऐसा होता है, उसका ही आचरण ऐसा होता है कि मतलब बोल देते हैं, फिर वो वहां पे नहीं रुकता है कि अभी उनका हैबिट ऐसा है, एक दो बार बता दिया है, समझा दिया है कि, लेकिन फिर भी उनका ऐसा ही रहता है, तो फिर वहां पे ऐसा बोल देते हैं, तो इस चीज को कैसे।
हाँ, तो इसलिए वो अनुद्वेग जो है भगवान ने वर्ड यूज किया है वो दोनों चीजों के लिए हो, नॉट एजिटेटिंग भगवान ने क्यों बोला है? एक तो है कि आप शुरुआत मत करो। दूसरा है, अगर कोई हमारे को एजिटेटिंग बोल रहा है हम उसमें रिएक्ट ना करें। अगर हम उसमें रिएक्ट करेंगे तो इश्यू जो है बहुत बड़ा हो जाएगा, चीजें जो है बहुत ज्यादा स्पॉइल हो जाएंगी, ऐसा है। तो अगर कोई हमारे को भी बोलता है तो तुरंत रिएक्ट नहीं करना चाहिए, वेट करना चाहिए, सोचना चाहिए क्या बोला है उन्होंने, एंड वी कैन थिंक अबाउट इट और वी कैन पोस्टपोन आवर रिस्पॉन्स, वेट फॉर सम टाइम एंड देन सी व्हाट बेस्ट रिस्पॉन्स कैन बी गिवन टू हिम। कई बार लोग क्या होता है ना, स्पीच सडनली निकल के आ जाता है। जैसे आदमी को क्या है, उसको कुछ उसका साधना भी अच्छा नहीं हुआ, जॉब में भी बॉस ने डांट मार दिया, हेल्थ भी थोड़ा डाउन जा रहा है, माइंड भी बहुत डिस्टर्ब कर रहा है, और फिर आपने उनको बोला प्रभु जी आपने ऑफरिंग नहीं किया, तुरंत उनसे कुछ निकल के आ जाएगा राइट। बट देन अगर आप भी एजिटेट हो जाओगे तो उनके लिए बहुत मुश्किल होगा, बिकॉज ही इज ऑलरेडी सफरिंग एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इट केम आउट, बट इफ यू स्पीक समथिंग मोर ही विल सफर मच मोर। तो प्रभुपाद जी बोलते हैं एबिलिटी टू टॉलरेट प्रोवोकिंग सिचुएशन इज अ साइन ऑफ लीडर। So we have to learn this being in Kaliuga because so many agitating situation will come. लेकिन हमको उन situations के कारण agitate नहीं होना है। तो और बेस्ट तरीका क्या है, हम रिस्पॉन्स को तुरंत ना करें, थोड़ा डिले करें, और डिले के समय पे ये वर्ड्स को रिसाइट करें, अनुद्वेग करम वाक्यम सत्यम प्रियम हितम च, एंड देन वी ट्राई आवर बेस्ट व्हाट बेस्ट response can be given in this, and if you consciously try you will find that becomes your secondary nature, like that. ठीक है? Yes, Srinivas
यस
को।
Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, recently in one class, Radheshan Prabhuji mentioned if you get any ill feeling, means anything, you don't means be simple, express करने के लिए. If not, it becomes a grudging attitude. आप बाद में जाकर offense करेंगे उसके लिए. So I want to ask this priority order means we should means if any wrong happens and we want to comment, उसको सत्य हमको words नहीं मिल रहे, we are not getting words to put it in a pleasing way, then we should keep it out, or we should wait patiently, or like
Somebody is doing something wrong that time, right?
not wrong because it's not means we are getting some agitated, or we are feeling uncomfortable. It's not wrong also, but we are not comfortable with it. Even
Okay,
it
okay. So see, there are many things in this now. If suppose some person is speaking in agitating way, and if you respond also in some same way, then it may increase the issue, correct, no? So if it is possible for us to tolerate, then that is a best policy. Second is, suppose if it is becoming more for me to tolerate, it is beyond my threshold, then we can go to some superior and we can report to him that probably this devotee spoke like this and it was very hurting to me. And then that superior let him speak to the devotee. Third is, if you have a very good relationship with the devotee itself, then we can go, okay, Prabhu, I respect you, but when you spoke like this, it was little hurting to me. So these are three ways we can respond. This is one thing. Second thing is, suppose we are staying in a center and because of some devotee behavior, many other devotees are getting affected. So when, like suppose one is hitam for him, also hitam for all the devotees. So when we have to compare between the two, then we have to give more priority to the hitam of all devotees. So we may have to speak to this devotee little strongly that प्रभु आपकी वजह से सारे devotees affect हो रहे हैं. तो क्योंकि इसमें वो सारे devotees का हितम है, लेकिन वो कब कर सकते हैं अगर हमारा वैसा अधिकार है, वो पोजीशन है. Is it okay, Srinivaspu?
Yes, Prabhuji. And one more thing, in 17.14, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned this order of respect.
Yes.
In that he gave Deva and then Brahmanas and then spiritual master. Why is it so means?
Actually, as per the Vedic understanding, Brahmanas by default are devotees of the Lord also. So they are considered also very special. But naturally, in a modern context, we generally see Brahmanas as not practicing. That's why we get that kind of feeling.
Even in Vedic context, Prabhuji, I heard the spiritual master is a topmost devotee, means best devotee for us like that. Vaishnavas are to be respected and best person.
No. What we hear, spiritual master is the best devotee.
Means of course we respect all Vaishnavas, but spiritual master is like prime Vaishnava for us, like that. Which shows what to be considered most.
No, see, we have to see spiritual master also in relation to our Guru Parampara. So we see spiritual master, a devotee who is giving us inspiration, and we are feeling very happy to have his shelter. At the same time, we have to see that how he is also connected to Guru Parampara, and we have to see other devotees also like that.
Okay, Braj.
Mostly what I understand is that in the Vedic context, there were great Brahmanas and they were great devotees also. So that's why they are given that kind of respect. And somebody, spiritual master, is there, and he may not be so great Brahmana or something like that in a Vedic context. That's why it is mentioned.
Yes, Braj, understood.
Yeah. So in our case, we give respect to spiritual master because he is Kintu Prabhorya Priya Vatasya. That connection we have to remember. Why we give respect? Because he is dear to the Supreme Lord.
Yes, Braj. Thank you, Braj.
Okay. Yes, Pavan.
You were mentioning that this very first thing is mentioned Anudvega, but ऐसा तो जरूरी नहीं होता है कि श्लोकों में वो chronological order मेंटेन हो कि जो पहले आया है उसी को पहले कंसीडर करना है वर्सेस में.
नहीं, ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है. देखो, कुछ कुछ श्लोकों में लॉर्ड जो हैं कुछ पर्टिकुलर चीज को पहले एम्फोसाइज करना चाहते हैं, उसके हिसाब से बताते हैं. जैसे कि जो पहला वाला श्लोक है, उसमें बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी क्या बताए हैं, जो उन्होंने सीरीज बताई है वो सीक्वेंस ऑर्डर में है. और कुछ कुछ श्लोक में वो नहीं भी होता है, ऐसा है.
मतलब हमें कैसे पता चला गुरु जी की ये मतलब ये एकदम सीक्वेंस ऑर्डर में है?
आचार्य.
इसमें जैसे आपने गुरु जी की चीज बोला कि हमने अगर ये कर दिया तो बाकी चीजें किसी काम की नहीं है, बाकी चीजें पैचअप नहीं कर सकते हैं अगर एक बार हमने ये चीटिंग वर्ड बोला. लेकिन हम तो देखते हैं प्रैक्टिकली हमारे सीनियर्स हो या हम भी कभी कुछ गलत करते हैं तो हम उसको पैचअप करने का भी ट्राई कर देते हैं, कभी गिफ्ट देते हैं, कभी कुछ
नहीं. अब
अप्रिशिएट करते
आपने
हैं.
अगर गलत कर दिया तो पैचअप करने का ट्राई करना ही चाहिए. लेकिन श्लोक का मूड क्या है कि आप उस स्टेज पे जाओ ही ना.
नहीं, आपने
करेक्ट
बोला
ना?
ना मुझे कि आपने बोला कि वो पैचअप नहीं हो सकता है कभी भी कि कोई
हाँ,
गलत.
मैं ऐसा बोला कि आप कितना भी ट्राई कीजिए वो पूरा पैचअप नहीं होता है. देखिए, रिलेशनशिप जो होते हैं उनको मटके से तुलना किया गया है. मिट्टी का मटका एक बार टूट जाता है तो जुड़ता है वो.
नहीं.
तो आप हमारे शास्त्रों में भी देखिए, एक बार कहीं पर भी रिलेशनशिप प्रॉब्लम आया है तो वापस वो बिल्कुल वैसा नहीं बन पाता है. आपको इसका प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस है?
हाँ है.
फिर वही उसी पॉइंट से वो बताया गया है कि एक बार अगर कुछ हर्ट हो जाता है तो वापस ऑब्वियसली वी नीड टू पैच अप, ट्राई आवर बेस्ट एज मच एज पॉसिबल, लेकिन फिर भी क्या वो वैसा हो नहीं पाता है। तो इसलिए बेस्ट क्या है, अगर हम फर्स्ट प्लेस पे ही अनुद्वेग ना करें, एजिटेटिंग ना करें। ऑल्दो अगर बहुत प्योर वैष्णवाज हैं तो बिल्कुल वो बिल्कुल वैसा ही रिलेशनशिप वापस भी ला सकते हैं, लेकिन बहुत रेयर केसेस में होता है।
थैंक यू
ठीक
गुरुजी।
है।
गुरुजी
ओके।
इसमें जो पैशन वाला आपने बताया था, इसमें मतलब आपने पर्पस दिखाया मतलब कमेंट्रीज से, लेकिन अगर हम डायरेक्टली सिर्फ ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ें तो, अगर ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ते हैं तो उससे तो गुरुजी ये थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजिंग लगेगा कि जो प्रभुपाद जी ने इसको ट्रांसलेट किया है चलम ध्रुवम, कि इट इज नॉट स्टेबल नॉर परमानेंट, नाइदर स्टेबल
राइट।
नॉर परमानेंट, तो दोनों में कोई
राइट।
डिफरेंस ही नहीं लगता है। नॉर स्टेबल नॉर परमानेंट तो दो दो वर्ड्स क्यों है जब दोनों का सेम ही मीनिंग है?
नहीं, तो एक्चुअली क्या, इसलिए जब प्रभुपाद जी का ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ रहे हैं ना, क्योंकि हम भक्ति शास्त्री कर रहे हैं, उसमें आप अगर आचार्य का कमेंट्री पढ़ेंगे तो कई बार क्या है वो हमको और ज्यादा समझ में आता है। तो उसमें स्टेबल किसके लिए बोल रहे हैं और नॉन परमानेंट किसके लिए बोल रहे हैं, वो दोनों अलग है। तो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती, वो बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी का जो, शायद विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर का जो कमेंट्री हम पढ़ रहे थे उसमें वो बता रहे थे ऐसा है। स्टेबल क्या नहीं है, ये ऑस्टेरिटी स्टेबल नहीं हो सकती। क्यों? क्योंकि उनकी एक्सपेक्टेशन है मान की, पूजा की, और वो क्या है, नॉन परमानेंट है, वो अनसर्टेन है, वो हमेशा मिलेंगी नहीं। तो जब नहीं मिलेंगी तो ऑस्टेरिटी नहीं करेगा।
थैंक यू गुरुजी।
ओके। यस आदर्श टू।
अरे मुझे ये पूछना था, एक ऑस्ट्रेलिया पीछे आपने बताया था जैसे सत्यम, प्रिय हितम, जैसे प्रीचिंग का एग्जाम्पल आपने दिया था कि प्रीचिंग में कभी कभी हमें क्या होता है, छिपाना पड़ता है या कभी कभी झूठ भी बोलना पड़ता है। तो छिपाना पड़ता ठीक है, लेकिन झूठ बोलते हैं तो सत्यम वाला प्रिंसिपल तो हम फॉलो नहीं कर पाए ट्रूथफुल, लेकिन उसके लिए बेनिफिशियल नहीं है, इसलिए हम झूठ
नहीं
बोलते
नहीं
हैं।
नहीं, तो इसमें सत्यम का अर्थ क्या होता है? इसलिए बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी क्या ट्रांसलेट कर रहे हैं? सत्यम जो है प्रभुपा जी ट्रांसलेट कर रहे हैं ट्रुथफुलनेस, है ना। इसलिए बलदेव विद्याभूषण जी ट्रांसलेट क्या कर रहे हैं? सत्यम मीन्स ट्रुथ विच इज अपहेल्ड बाय द स्क्रिप्चर्स। करेक्ट। तो जो आ, हम जैसे प्रीचिंग जो करते हैं जिसमें हम बोलते हैं कि ठीक है आप ऐसा नहीं ऐसा बताना, तो वो जो ट्रुथ है वो सोल के लेवल पे तो ट्रुथ है, लेकिन बॉडी के लेवल पे हो सकता है झूठ है। तो इसलिए वो उसको आप पूरा झूठ नहीं बोल सकते। लेकिन अगर हम उनको बोलते हैं कि आप ऐसा झूठ बोलो, और फिर उनको हम सिनेमा लेके जा रहे हैं या कुछ गलत कार्य करा रहे हैं, तो वो झूठ है सारे लेवल पे, बॉडी के लेवल पे भी आत्मा के लेवल पे भी। ऐसा। तो इसलिए जब हम ट्रुथ की बात करते हैं तो एक्चुअल ट्रुथ क्या है जो आत्मा के लेवल पे है, और फिर जो आत्मा की सपोर्ट में बॉडी के लेवल पे ट्रुथ हो सकता है, माइंड के लेवल पे ट्रुथ हो सकता है, दैट वी कैन सी। तो इस तरीके से वो गलत नहीं है। ऐसे तो आप देखो रामानुजाचार्य भी क्या बोले, ब्राह्मण को जो है लेटर भेज दिए कि जाओ मेरी पत्नी को बोलना कि उनके घर में शादी है और वो चली जाएंगी। अब रामानुजाचार्य इतने बड़े आचार्य हैं, लक्ष्मण जी का इनकारनेशन, वो भी ऐसे झूठ बोल रहे हैं। ऐसे तो हमारे कितने आचार्य ने झूठ बोला, लेकिन वो एट लेवल ऑफ द सोल इज हाईएस्ट ट्रुथ। ठीक है। यस प्रियात्मा चैतन्य प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। मुझे वो एक आपने बताया था मेंटल सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन के बारे में। तो मतलब सर्विसेज के, हम कोई सर्विस कर रहे हैं जो हमें मिली हुई है, तो उसमें मेंटल सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन कैसे देख सकते हैं, मतलब तो कैसे इफेक्ट करता है, मतलब उसके में कुछ थोड़ा बताएंगे।
मेंटल सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन मीन्स हैविंग थॉट्स टू एंजॉय। जैसे अगर हमको सर्विस मिला है तो जो सर्विस से रिसोर्सेज आते हैं, जैसे कोई भी सर्विस आप करते हैं, या तो उस सर्विस से सपोज मनी आ रहे हैं तो उस मनी को हम एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, या उस सर्विसेज से ऐसे सपोज हम प्रीच कर रहे हैं, लोग डिवोटीज बन रहे हैं तो उनको हम एंजॉय कर रहे हैं कि देखो मैंने इतने सारे लोगों को डिवोटी बनाया। या कुछ आपने सर्विस किया उससे कुछ अचीवमेंट आया, उसको हम एंजॉय कर रहे हैं कि देखो ऐसा किसी ने नहीं किया था, हमने किया है, और यू आर फीलिंग हैप्पी अबाउट इट। या आप किचन इंचार्ज हो तो आप सोच रहे हो अभी आज वड़ा पाव मैं 4 अलग से रख लूंगा अपने लिए, एंड देन आई एंजॉय इट। तो ऐसे इंजॉयमेंट के थॉट रहना सर्विस के आउटकम से, वो जो है वो भगवान मना कर रहे हैं ऐसा। Is it okay?
यस थैंक यू प्रभु।
Okay. So chat में
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
मयंक प्रभु का सवाल था, हाउ टू डील विद पीपल whom we see as trying to control and dominate us if they are not our superior। हाँ, तो ये इसमें बहुत सेंसिटिवली वी हैव टू डील। श्रील प्रभुपाद स्पीक्स वेरी फेमस, so we don't have to cheat others, but we should not get cheated by others also. So we can see, if possible, we can maintain some distance from them, and humbly we can deal. See, Vedic culture is very special. We can be humble, but we can be firm also. आप देखो पूरा ये महाअवतार नरसिम्हा मूवी में प्रहलाद महाराज जो है हमेशा हम्बल थे, लेकिन फर्म भी थे। उनकी माँ बोलती है, बेटा तुम विष्णु को छोड़ क्यों नहीं देते? माँ, आप ऐसा होके माँ होके मेरे को ऐसा संदेश कैसे दे सकती हो? तो वही हमको भी सीखना है, हम्बल एंड फर्म। ठीक है।
यस प्रभु जी, थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्ण। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।